Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Right, a few years ago I did a video looking at footballers whose faces didn't match their age. So today, let's take a look at every Premier League club and find one current player who just doesn't look as old as their passport says. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, 31. People are wondering why Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang mostly looks like a burnt out Volvo this season. But lads, he's still got 14 goals in 28 games this campaign. That's not too bad for a 31-year-old man. Let's not forget, this fella began his football career in 1995. I know he dresses like a teenager. Good Christ, I wouldn't be surprised if he's also pierced both nipples. He's a multi-millionaire with cash dripping out his ears, and yet he chooses to fashionably wear shorts that look like they were just gnawed to death by a family of hungry dogs. Good Christ, he's got a baseball cap on back to front. So clearly he's been reading from the Mike Mayock manual on how to pretend you're not nearly 40 years of age. The man's lucky he's a footballer, because can you imagine a 31-year-old man rocking up to work in Carphone Warehouse with shaved eyebrows? He'd probably instantly be put on some sort of register. Aston Villa, EMILIANO Martinez, 28. Listen, this probably has more to do with his career than his actual physique, but most people would have assumed EMILIANO Martinez is just a budding young goalkeeper having just exploded from nowhere to suddenly win Arsenal the FA Cup before becoming one of the best goalies in the Premier League with Aston Villa. I bet some of you out there probably thought he was about 19 years of age, but no, don't forget, he's been around forever. Good Christ, he was stuck in the Arsenal net conceding 5 goals against Reading, and that was 9 years ago. He's been in England since 2010. It just took him a decade to actually wake up and do anything of note. Brighton, Aaron Connolly, 21. Listen, I realise when you're 21 years of age, it's perfectly acceptable to dye your hair brighter than the sun, but I'm sorry, when Aaron Connolly does it, he looks like a recently divorced middle-aged man trying to creepily blend into the local nightclub scene. I know it's unfair because the kid is only 21, but I'm sorry, look at that wizened old face. Christ above, what age did he hit puberty? 7 years of age? The man's got the beard of a 45-year-old fisherman. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he popped out of his mother's womb holding a Gillette razor and a 6-pack of curling. Lads, this guy was born in the year 2000. He's younger than the goddamn Matrix movies, and he wasn't legally able to buy a beer until the 2018 World Cup. Then why the hell does he look like he's probably got about 6 grandkids littered around Westmeath? Oh, by the way, let's try to inch towards 500,000 subscribers before the end of the season. That would be unbelievable. If you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, then go on, be an absolute legend and smack that subscribe button. Anyway, let's get back into the video. Burnley, Bailey Peacock Farrell, 24. Yeah, Bailey Peacock Farrell is 24. 24 years of age. I refuse to believe this is true. If you told me that Burnley's second choice goalie was actually only 18 years old, I'd believe it. He looks like a university student, a guy still shedding his childhood puppy fat, a young teenage goalie who only 5 minutes ago was serving as ball boy at match days, right? Honestly, the guy looks like he probably still collects Pokemon cards in his bedroom. But no, he's 6 years off 30. Chelsea, Christian Pulisic, 22. It's the beard. That is all this is. Most 22-year-olds are lucky if they can grow 6 hairs on their chin. But this guy, you'd assume he's got the blood of a werewolf running through his veins. Because honestly, Christian Pulisic looks like a 30-year-old man who's just been hibernating in a Croatian cave for the past 3 years. Crystal Palace, Patrick Van Aanholt, 30. Again, it's mental to think Patrick Van Aanholt is in his damn 30s. Lads, this fella's halfway to 60. He's already a third of the way through his life. Yeah, this guy, a fellow who takes photos in his house like he's starring in a Beyonce music video. He's 30. If someone had no clue about football and you told them that Crystal Palace's left back actually signed for Chelsea in 2007, they'd probably instantly alert the opticians and demand a set of glasses. Because that guy, he looks like he's about 23. Everton, James Rodriguez, 29. I'm almost convinced James Rodriguez is some form of new age cyborg because this man does not age. He looks exactly how he did after the 2014 World Cup. Probably helped by the fact that, just like Joe Weller, he probably hasn't changed his haircut since he was 9 years of age. I'm sorry, but does James really look like he's about to turn 30 in July? No, if he wasn't a footballer, you'd assume he was just some Colombian foreign exchange student who probably lives off a daily routine of eating sausage rolls and watching Countdown on the couch. Fulham, Alexander Mitrovic, 26. Well, it is obvious because Alexander Mitrovic has never looked his age. Lads, he signed for Newcastle age 21, and I'm sorry, with his exceptional muscle tone and skinhead exterior, backed up by a neck tattoo that makes him look like he was recently expelled from some underground Serbian mafia, he honestly looked like a 35-year-old on the run from the police. How did he look so old? Did he just spend his childhood drinking whiskey from a shoe, smoking 20 cigarettes for breakfast before spending 12 hours sleeping on his face? Now he's supposedly 26, younger than Jesse Lingard. No, he looks like a middle-aged nightclub bouncer who probably has at least 3 corpses in his boot. Leeds, ILLAN MESLIER, 21. Listen, yes, ILLAN MESLIER is the youngest goalie in the league at 21, but I'm sorry, he looks even younger than that. Are we supposed to believe that both he and Aaron Connolly are the same age? Lads, Meslier honestly looks about 15 years of age. I'm convinced were he not a footballer, he'd probably need to bring his passport down the pub. This guy's 21 years old. No, he looks looks barely old enough to kiss a girl, someone who still wets the bed and has to romance the couch. Leicester, Kagras Soyuncu, 24. Yeah, this one isn't too crazy, but Kagras Soyuncu is a 24-year-old Turkish defender for Leicester, and to me, he looks maybe 5 years older. Maybe it's the fact he looks like he hasn't visited a barbershop in at least a decade. And I know it's rude to judge, but he does look like he constantly smells of salmon and stale dog food. But he also looks like an experienced defensive head, not someone with less than 200 career appearances to his name. Great news for Leicester though, because if they play their cards right, they could have this guy in their defence until 2030. Liverpool, Nathaniel Phillips, 23. Nathaniel Phillips is a weird one. On the one hand, if you studied his CV and saw that he's only ever played 33 games of professional football in his life, you'd assume that, just like Reece Williams, he was just some novice teenage defender thrown into the deep end of Anfield this season. Maybe then you'd think he was a promising centre half for the future. No, he's 23 years old. Not that impressive now, is it? But when you examine his face, you go the other way, because he's a bearded skinhead who honestly looks like a Polish butcher who slices up pigs all day. Honestly, the guy's CV makes him sound like he should be 5 years younger than he is, but his physique and face make him look like he's about 10 years older. It's a weird one. Man City, Nathan Ake, 26. Because Nathan Ake has always been tipped for the future, it's easy to assume he's still just a developing kid, not 26 years of age and in the prime of his career. This is his peak. He's not getting any better than this. Let's be honest, he's a mid-table standard centre half who do well to have a career on par with Tyrone Mings. Anyway, this isn't a crazy example. Maybe it's because I've always associated him with being a novice young centre half, but to me, he looks about 22. Man United, Luke Shaw, 25. Listen, I could make a case for Mason Greenwood, who honestly looks and plays like he's about 23 years of age, but I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. It's ridiculous to think that the Man United left back is still only 25 years old. Am I the only one who thinks he should be about 32? Listen, this fella's stocky build has always made him look older than he was. Good Christ, here he was at 17 years of age. He looks old enough to have 3 kids. Christ above, what must he have looked like at school? He must have looked like he'd been held back 3 times in a row. Christ above, when compared to some of the other kids in his class, he probably looked old enough to be their dad. Nowadays, he honestly looks like a middleweight boxer. Broad shoulders, a beard so thick you'd assume he was born in the Russian mountains, because I'm convinced if you shaved his head, he'd look like Khabib. And that fella spent his youth wrestling bears. Chunking the fact this is his 9th season in the Premier League, that he made his senior England debut 7 years ago, then yeah, you'd assume he was a little further than being only halfway through his career. Newcastle, Carl Darlow, 30. Well, that is easy. Most non-Newcastle fans probably saw Carl Darlow finally given his chance between the sticks this season and assumed he was a plucky young goalkeeper finally seizing his chance, forgetting that this fella was actually part of the Newcastle team who got relegated 5 years ago. Yeah, I know the fella looks like a 21-year-old Love Island contestant, a guy who probably spends 20 minutes a day styling his hair while kissing his own reflection, but he's actually 30 years of age. This isn't Freddie Woodman. This is a man who began his career at Villa Park in 1998. People saw him save a penalty for Bruno Fernandes and immediately tipped him as a future England goalkeeper. Lads, he's 7 years older than Dean Henderson and only 3 years younger than Joe Hart. I mean, come on. Sheffield United, Oliver Burke, 23. Again, this isn't a dramatic example, but to me, Oliver Burke does not look 23 years old. Again, he's got a beard, broad shoulders, and the look of someone who probably hates his wife. So yeah, I don't know. I just said he looks about 30 years old. Southampton, Theo Walcott, 31. Again, I will always refuse to believe that Theo Walcott is in his 30s. Throughout his career, he always looked like a baby-faced child, probably due to the fact that his worldwide fame probably peaked at 16 years of age. Similarly with Justin Bieber, that man could grow all the dodgy pizza delivery guy mustaches he wants, but he'll still always look like a teenage child to me. Tottenham, Dane Scarlett, 16. Meet Dane Scarlett, a Tottenham forward was born 2 months before the Friends finale. A guy who was 6 weeks old the last time Arsenal lifted the Premier League title. He wasn't even alive when any of the Lord of the Rings films were in cinema. I refuse to believe it, because he looks a bit like Carlos Vinicius, who's halfway to 50. I refuse to believe there are 9 years separating these two footballers, just no. But also, this guy's evolution into the first team plans, it doesn't look good for Troy Parrott, an Irish wonder kid who's nearly 20 and yet to score a single career goal. West Brom, Carlin Grant, 23. Again, here we have Carlin Grant, who's still got time on his side. He's a 23-year-old young pup centre forward for West Brom, who might yet still be able to cut it as a Premier League centre forward, but again, with a full tattoo sleeve, facial hair and a weary facial expression, he looks like he's about 29 years of age at least. A bit like Andre Gray, you know, the past at Watford striker who can now barely string 5 goals a season together in the Championship. But no, Grant, despite looking like he's been bench pressing since 10 years of age, he's still got time on his side. West Ham, Jesse Lingard, 28. I don't think I will ever be able to accept that Jesse Lingard is 28 years of age. The guy looks like he's barely out of his teens. You just know this guy's gonna be 40 years of age and still breaking out the midi rocket jailing celebration. Listen, I've sent my apologies to Lingard. The guy has done way better for West Ham than I ever thought possible. To me, I thought he was just a zombified bunch of weary bones who was about to embark on a switch of career to Snapchat or MySpace or whatever the young kids are listening to these days. Christ above, I'm beginning to make myself sound like I'm 56. But Lingard, again, he's a young soul trapped in an old body with a child's face, and is probably going to be one of the class clowns when he's stuck down in a nursing home and urinating into a bag. Wolves Pedro Neto 21. Move over Adama Traore, no longer the prized pig getting all the attention at Wolves. Now it's Pedro Neto, an exciting pacey winger linked with a host of big clubs. Again, to look at him, you'd assume he's a 28-year-old man with life experience, a guy inching towards his 30s with a gaggle of kids stuffed at home. No, he's actually only just turned 21 this week, but I'm sorry, does he look 21? Does he look like someone with less than 70 league games under his belt throughout his entire career? Again, no! Anyway, that's it for this time. What do you think? Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.